My dear friend, let's get real for a moment. Life hits hard, doesn't it? You're out there grinding, carrying the weight of bills piling up, sleepless nights, dreams that feel out of reach, and a heart that's been bruised by disappointment or loss. You ever lie awake wondering, what's my purpose? Why does it feel like I'm running in place? I'm talking to you, yes you. What's your name? Where are you at right now? Are you stuck in a rut? Feeling the world's noise drowning out your soul's whisper? God's calling you today, saying, my child, I see your struggle, and I've placed a fire in you to rise above it. Psalm chapter 34, verse 18 proclaims, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. He's not distant, he's right here, urging you to turn inward, to find the strength he's already planted in you. Stop chasing the world's applause and start listening to his voice. You ready to lock in? Let's walk this journey together and build something unshakable. Let me ask you something straight from the heart. When was the last time he showed up for you, not to impress anybody, not to fit in, not to get a pat on the back, but just for the person God created you to be? Most folks wake up every single day trying to live up to expectations that ain't even theirs, running a race set by a world that only claps for shiny trophies while ignoring the sweat, tears, and faith it takes to grow into who God called you to be. But what if the most powerful move you could make is to turn inward, not out of pride, not out of selfishness, but out of a deep, grounded respect for the divine purpose God's placed in you? They might not get your silence. They might question why you're pulling back. Let them. While they're talking, you're building. While they're laughing, you're evolving. And one day they're going to look up in awe at the version of you they never saw coming. Because you weren't out here trying to impress them, you were busy becoming the masterpiece God designed. Ephesians chapter 2 verse 10 states, for we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. That's you, his work of art, crafted for a purpose bigger than the world's noise. You owe it to yourself and to the God who made you to stop performing for folks who won't see your worth until it's undeniable. You owe it to yourself to become the person your past self could only dream of. The one God's been whispering to you about in those quiet moments. So make a decision right now, today, that your focus is sacred, a gift from above. No more half-hearted promises, no more waiting for the perfect time. God's saying, my child, your time is now. Step into my plan with boldness. You don't need to shout your goals from the rooftops. You don't need to justify your path or explain why you're going quiet. True transformation doesn't need a spotlight, because the moment you choose growth, the world's noise starts to fade. In that stillness, your soul gets to speak, guided by the Holy Spirit. You start hearing what really matters, God's voice over the chaos. Every time you stop explaining yourself to people who aren't even listening, you reclaim energy to create something eternal. The you God always intended. It's rarely the loudest person in the room who makes the biggest impact. It's the one nobody saw coming, the one who worked in silence, healed in private, and sharpened their discipline in the shadows, all under God's watchful eye. That's the person who rises, that's the one who changes the game. So stop craving approval. Approval is a trap dressed up as love. Chase it, and you'll trade God's purpose for fleeting claps. You'll start sharing your progress for likes instead of doing the work for him and for you. That's where folks lose their way. You don't need an audience, you need focus. You don't need to be seen. You need to be consistent. When your focus becomes non-negotiable, your actions get sharper, your spirit gets stronger, and your progress becomes undeniable. Proverbs chapter 4 verse 25 reveals, let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Keep your eyes on God's path, not the world's distractions. Let others perform for attention. Let them chase likes, validation, and praise. You're building something eternal, something God's called you to. One day when your results shine like a beacon, those same folks who overlooked you will wonder how'd they do that. But you'll know. It wasn't overnight. It came from quiet nights praying, lonely hours grinding, invisible efforts trusting God's plan, and uncelebrated wins that built your faith. People stop checking in when you go quiet because they think you've vanished. But silence ain't the end, it's where the real work begins. It's where God plants deep roots, where no storm can shake what you've built with Him. So let them doubt you. Let them talk, let them scroll past while you sharpen yourself into something unshakable. You're not here to prove anything anymore. The ego's gone. The need to be understood is gone. All that's left is the work. And the work don't lie. The results don't lie. That strength, that discipline, that transformation, they weren't built for attention. They were born in silence, out of respect for the future God's promised you. That's where your power lies now, not in being seen, but in becoming undeniable. Every time you felt like giving up but kept going, you were writing another page in your comeback story with God as your author. When the moment comes for the world to see who you become, you won't need to say a word. Your presence will speak volumes, your results will shout, and your silence will carry more weight than any speech ever could. People will always have something to say. They'll question you, ignore you, try to tear you down, but silence strips them of their power. The moment you stop reacting to every insult, rumor, or jab, you take control, guided by God's peace. Not everything deserves your attention. Not every comment needs an answer. Not every person is worthy of your energy. Some folks speak just to fill the void, scared of what they'd hear if they sat quietly with themselves. But you've learned to lean into the quiet, to let God's voice guide you. You don't run from it, you grow in it. You're not wasting time on drama or proving your worth. While they're scrambling to be seen, you're becoming unforgettable. A living testament to God's grace. Philippians chapter 4 verse 7 confirms, "And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." The day will come when even those who dismissed you will have to recognize what you've built, not because you begged for their attention, but because your life will shine with God's glory. You'll be undeniable, not through noise, but through the truth of your progress, rooted in faith. Ever notice how the most powerful people in the room are often the quietest? That ain't by accident. They don't need to prove nothing. They move with certainty, walk with presence, carrying God's strength. That's where real power is born, not from shouting, but from confidence in His plan. You don't got to warn folks about what's coming. You don't owe explanations to those who've already judged you. Let them misread you. Let them count you out. Every time they do, they're handing you more fuel to keep going. This world loves noise, but don't respect it. What it respects is transformation, discipline, quiet, steady growth, the kind that don't beg for applause, the kind that don't need attention, just vision, just hunger, just you locked in, focused on the climb God set before you. The day you stop talking and start executing with everything you've got, everything shifts. You stop caring what they think because your life becomes the answer, a living prayer. Every win writes part of the story. Every breakthrough adds a new chapter. When it's all said and done, your journey becomes a book that leaves everyone silent, marveling at God's work in you. They'll never fully grasp the depth of what you've endured, the nights you prayed through darkness, the mornings you got up when everything screamed to stay down, the moments you kept moving with nothing but faith in God's promise. That's what makes your silence powerful. It carries the truth of your struggle, your pain, your resilience, your fire. You didn't get here by luck. You were forged in trials, shaped by storms, and everything you built in those quiet, invisible battles gave you a strength the world can't measure. Isaiah chapter 40 verse 31 declares, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles." So when the time comes and they see what you've created with God's help, it might shock them, but it won't shock you. You'll know every moment you were tempted to quit but leaned on His strength instead. You'll remember being overlooked, counted out, talked about, yet you kept moving, kept building, kept trusting. In that silence, you created a legacy no one could ignore, a legacy of faith. So stay quiet, stay sharp. The noise will never stop, but you've risen above the need to respond. Your only answer now is action. Your only reply is transformation. You're not here to argue or explain, you're here to evolve, to walk the path God's laid out. Every day you choose silence and consistency, you're laying another brick in a foundation He's blessed. You're building something unshakable, And one day, those who doubted you will face the truth of what you become, a vessel of God's purpose. They'll ask how you did it, where it came from. And you won't need to say a thing. Your life will be the proof. Your results will be the answer. And your silence will echo louder than any noise in the room. In a world trying to steal your attention with pings, alerts, and endless distractions, your greatest power is focus, locking in on God's call for you, protecting your energy like it's holy, because it is. The most unstoppable version of you is born in the quiet, where his voice is clearest. Distraction is a thief dressed in comfort, promising escape while stealing your God-given potential. You can't rise to the person God created if you're chasing the next shiny thing, the next quick fix, the next excuse to avoid his purpose. Discipline is your shield, a fortress built on faith that keeps you steady while the world spins in chaos. To quiet the noise, you don't gotta be harsh with others, you gotta be fierce with yourself. Draw the line and declare that your time, your energy, your purpose are too sacred to waste. Every time you let distraction take over, you're giving away the power God's given you to a world that don't care about your destiny. Joshua chapter 1 verse 9 commands, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." It's time to lock in, to say no to what don't line up with God's plan. Discipline ain't punishment. It's a declaration that you're done settling for less than what he's promised. Folks misunderstand it, thinking discipline kills joy, but that's a lie. Real discipline is freedom, freedom from chaos, freedom from regret, freedom to walk in God's purpose. It lets you choose your actions instead of being ruled by impulses. When you live with discipline, you decide what fills your day, what voices you listen to, who gets close to the dreams God's planted in you. Every choice either builds the foundation of your future or cracks it. Distraction is the crack. Discipline, rooted in faith, is the cornerstone. Look at your day, really look at it, and ask the tough questions. How much time did I waste scrolling? How many hours did I spend watching others instead of building what God's called me to? Those moments seem small, but they add up. And if you don't take charge, they'll take charge of you. The way to silence the noise is to know what you're building, a life that glorifies him. Then protect it like it's your calling, because it is. Focus is your weapon given by God. It cuts through the clutter and fixes your eyes on what matters. Don't scatter your attention. Aim it like a sniper. Breathe, steady yourself, and lock in on the target that moves you closer to his plan. That precision needs boundaries with your time, your habits, your mind. Put the phone down, close the extra tabs, walk away from distractions, even when they feel good, especially when they feel good. Because comfort don't produce growth. Growth comes when you stay locked in. When you do the work even when no one's watching. When you say no to temptation because God's yes is louder. Distraction leaves you busy but empty. Discipline leaves you purposeful and full, filled with his peace. The louder the world gets, the more you need to quiet your mind, to turn inward, to hear that still, small voice of God guiding your next step. People will always pull at your attention, gossip, arguments, chaos. If you don't stand firm in his strength, you'll get swept into storms that ain't yours. Discipline is peace. It's saying no to conflict that don't serve his purpose. It's showing up for the mission God's given you day after day, unmoved by the chaos around you. It ain't about being perfect, it's about being persistent, building something so solid that when the storm comes, you're not shaken. You keep walking, keep working, keep trusting, and you learn to move through the storm without losing sight of God's light. Hebrews chapter 12 verse 1 urges, "Let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us." Distractions won't vanish, but they'll lose their grip when you lean on God. You'll find your rhythm, stay in your lane. And when those old temptations come knocking, you won't answer, you'll be too busy building something real with him. Your success ain't a fluke. It's the fruit of choices rooted in faith, daily decisions, a mind trained to stay on his path, a heart that refuses to settle. Discipline ain't something you stumble into. It's forged day by day, moment by moment, through prayer and action. It's the alarm you answer when you'd rather sleep, the reps you push through when you'd rather quit, the work you do now that builds the freedom God's promised later. Every small act of discipline compounds quietly, powerfully, until the world looks up and sees you didn't just change, you transformed by His grace, by your choice, every single day. Every time you turn down a distraction, you're saying yes to the future God's prepared. Every time you push through the urge to stop, you're building strength, not just in body, but in spirit. Discipline becomes a muscle, and with every choice, it grows stronger, more reliable, fueled by faith. That strength will carry you further than talent, further than luck, further than waiting for the perfect moment. While others chase comfort or quick fixes, you're gaining ground quietly, relentlessly, with God by your side. Discipline ain't just about blocking out noise, it's about becoming a force that rises above it. The world's loud, but you're louder in your focus. Doubt fades when you act consistently. Fear weakens when you show up daily. Distraction loses its grip when you stay locked in on God's call. James chapter 1 verse 12 affirms, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised." The world don't reward the easily distracted. It don't hand success to the inconsistent. It responds to those who show up again and again, no matter the mood, no matter the season, because they trust God's timing. If you want to surprise the world, stop chasing its distractions. Chase His vision with tunnel vision. Cut out the static, not just notifications and scrolling, but the deeper noise. Mental clutter, emotional weight, voices of comparison and doubt. Silence that inner critic replaying old fears. Step away from relationships that drain your spirit. Let go of habits that waste your time and numb your progress. Your purpose is too holy to be drowned out by nonsense. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is one choice: discipline over distraction. It's deciding to protect your time, your energy, your peace like they're gifts from God, because they are. Start small. Say no when it's easier to say yes. Turn off the phone and tune into His priorities. Walk away from arguments that don't matter. Focus on the few things that move you closer to His plan, things only you can do in His name. Every moment you reclaim from distraction is a brick laid in the foundation of a life that glorifies Him. Keep doing it day after day, week after week. Let His compound effect work its magic. You don't need to announce your progress. You don't need permission. Let your results speak. They always do. Discipline will carry you through storms, through doubt, through seasons when nothing feels like it's working until it does, because God is faithful. You'll look back and see the world didn't change, you did, quietly, powerfully, by His grace. Then there's healing, not the kind for likes or applause, but the real kind, the kind that happens in silence, away from the show, in the presence of God. Healing ain't a performance, it's a sacred process deep in your heart, far from judgment expectations. When you heal in private, you create space to feel, to release, to grow without pressure, guided by His love. You stop rushing your recovery to make others comfortable. You let the pain move through you, breathe and settle, trusting God's timing. That's self-respect, honoring the temple He made you to be. 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 19 reminds, your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit, who is in you, whom you have received from God. In a world where everybody's sharing everything, keeping your healing private is a radical act of strength. It says, I'm not here to impress you, I'm here to rebuild me with God's help. When you protect that space, you shield your transformation from opinions that could derail it. You build a sanctuary where resilience is born, where strength takes shape under His guidance. You don't need to make noise to prove your healing. When it's real, it shows. Growth is the same, it ain't loud or flashy. It's the slow, patient climb nobody sees but you and God. It happens in the background, in the discipline, in the days when no one's watching, and that's what makes it real. When you grow in silence, you avoid the trap of proving yourself too soon. You stay committed to the process, to His plan. You don't rush to declare change, you let it shine through your life. True growth is humble, patient, rooted in deep work that don't need applause. You learn to trust what's invisible, to trust God's hand at work. You don't need validation because you know the truth of your effort, blessed by Him. When the moment comes, when your results unfold, You won't need to explain nothing. You'll move like a quiet storm, steady, certain, undeniable, carrying his peace. John chapter 16, verse 33 assures, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world." Healing and growing in silence don't mean you're alone. It means you're intentional, walking with God. You choose your space, protect your peace. Allow only those who honor your journey to draw near, even if they don't fully get it. You step away from chaos and surround yourself with his calm. You don't chase approval. You chase his peace, his purpose. When the time's right, the world will see what you become, not because you told them to look, but because your life, shaped by God, will make it impossible not to see. Healing in private is a deep act of self-love rooted in his love for you. It demands boundaries, turning down conversations that reopen wounds, choosing moments that nourish your soul. It's taking space to reflect, to journal, to sit in stillness with God, to just be without noise or judgment. When you grow quietly, you build something unshakable. You lay a foundation rooted in self-awareness and faith, an anchor in life's storms. You may seem silent on the surface, but within, you're building a fortress with God's strength. That silence is where your power is born. Because when you keep your journey close, you protect the sacredness of your transformation. You don't need to explain your wounds or narrate your progress. The world might demand a story, a status, a show, but you stay grounded in his truth. Healing ain't a performance. It's your private triumph, blessed by God. The mystery around your growth commands a quiet respect. Others notice the shift in your presence without you saying a word. The more you protect your progress, the less access folks have to misinterpret it. You stay in control, not by defending your path, but by letting your transformation, guided by God, speak for itself. That's what makes your silence powerful. You don't need permission. You don't need applause. You just keep rising, lifted by his grace. Romans chapter 12, verse 2 urges, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Private growth ain't easy. Sometimes the silence feels heavy, the solitude stings, and you wish someone could truly understand. But those moments forge resilience, teaching you to comfort yourself, to cheer yourself on, to hold your own hand through hard days with God's strength. That's real power, not escaping pain, but sitting with it, not rushing to be seen, but choosing to know yourself through his eyes first. Over time, that silence becomes sacred. It's no longer isolation, it's a source of clarity and calm, a place where God speaks. You start seeing your scars differently, not as damage, but as proof of his healing, proof you've endured, learned, grown. Because your healing wasn't for show, your comeback becomes unstoppable. You don't just return, you rise with grace, strength, and quiet authority, reflecting his glory. Healing in silence teaches patience. The world craves instant results, but you learn to value God's slow, intentional process. You trust his pace for your journey. You stop comparing, stop performing, and see that growth ain't about speed, it's about depth, rooted in faith. With every quiet step, every private breakthrough, you build something lasting with him. You celebrate the wins nobody sees, choosing forgiveness over anger, peace over chaos, hope over bitterness. Those small, invisible victories stack up, forming a transformation so powerful that even those who only saw the surface are left speechless. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17 proclaims, "If anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come. The old is gone, the new is here." Healing in private is a gift you give yourself, blessed by God. It frees you from the pressure to explain. It gives you room to become who he always meant you to be on his terms. You take back the pen, writing your story, one page at a time, no noise, no distractions, just you. Becoming. That's the power of growing in silence. You don't need to convince anyone of your progress. They'll feel it when you walk in, see it in your energy, hear it in the calm confidence of your presence. You become a living reminder that real strength don't shout, it radiates, reflecting his light. The world's loud, restless, full of opinions, but your soul moves different, focused, centered, relentless in pursuing his peace and purpose. Healing quietly ain't a phase. It's a lifestyle, a way to rise above the noise, to step into the highest version of yourself without needing permission. The fiercest battle was never out there. It was always within, between who you've been and who God's calling you to be. When you choose silence, discipline, and self-respect over validation, you win that battle, one quiet, powerful moment at a time. Too many folks waste their energy looking sideways, measuring their worth against someone else's path, caught up in highlight reels, filtered snapshots, fake perfection. But that don't matter. The only competition is yesterday's you, the one that hesitated, chose comfort over challenge, let fear win when strength was needed. Every morning, God hands you a choice. Will you show up and outwork who you were? Or let old habits run the same tired script? The moment you decide to outwork your past self, everything shifts. You stop playing by the world's rules and false standards. You step into an arena where you set the pace, where success is measured by how much you've grown in His eyes. That's where progress happens, not chasing others, but chasing the better you God's calling forth. Outworking your old self means waking before the world, staying up after the noise fades, doing the work while others rest, all because you trust His plan. It means ignoring the voice saying, quit, and listening to God saying, keep going, not for perfection, but for my purpose. Every time you push further, stay longer, resist giving up, you win against complacency. You become unstoppable because your drive don't depend on applause or attention. You don't need likes, followers, or recognition. Your fire's internal, fueled by a hunger to grow, a calling to become the person your old self only dreamed of, the one God's shaping. That's where real success begins, with discipline, grit, and a quiet promise to yourself and God, kept day after day. 1 Timothy chapter 4 verse 7 instructs, train yourself to be godly. Competing with others is a trap. It distracts, distorts, pulls you from God's path. Their timeline ain't yours. Their journey ain't your calling. Their victories don't dim your purpose. Stay in your lane, focused on improvement, and that keeps you grounded, hungry, trusting God's timing. It pushes you to stop seeking validation and start seeking His growth. Real transformation happens in the quiet moments when you choose better, even when no one's watching, because God sees. It's trading comfort for challenge, showing up not because it's easy, but because you told God you would. Every step forward is progress, no matter how small. Every setback is a lesson, not a sentence. Every time you refuse to let your old self win, you reclaim power through His strength. Outworking your past means embracing discomfort. Growth don't come from playing it safe. It's built in the grind, late nights praying, early mornings working, extra reps trusting, tough talks leaning on His wisdom, days you want to stop but don't, because He's with you. That's where strength is born, not just in your body, but in your mind and spirit. You become someone who don't fear hard days. You welcome them, knowing they're shaping a stronger you, molded by God. The old you might quit, but you're different now. You see pain as progress, obstacles as opportunities. Each struggle shaping a future self no setback can hold back. Galatians chapter 6 verse 9 encourages, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. This ain't about being perfect every day. It's about being consistent, waking with purpose, showing up with discipline, staying committed even when feelings try to pull you off God's course. Discipline keeps you grounded, showing up when motivation fades, reminding you who you said you become in His name, holding you accountable to His vision. Outworking your old self is a daily choice. Some days the steps are small, others they're monumental, but it all adds up. Keep moving, keep rising, keep choosing progress over perfection, discipline over distraction, resilience over resignation. Forgive your failures, but never stop growing. That's how greatness is built, quietly, relentlessly, one day at a time, with God's hand guiding you. Greatness don't belong to the lucky, it belongs to those who outlast doubt, outgrow excuses, and outwork who they were yesterday, again and again, until they become unstoppable in His strength. Your old self ain't your enemy. It's the starting point, the foundation that got you here, the version that survived and endured through His grace. But if you're serious about rising, you can't stay attached to who you were. Honor your past by outgrowing it. Prove to yourself that change ain't just possible, it's inevitable when you work for it with faith. The distance between who you were and who God's calling you to be is shaped by effort, mindset, and relentless commitment to his plan. When you focus on outworking your past self, you tap into a motivation deeper than praise, deeper than recognition, personal evolution through his power. You don't just improve your life, you shift your identity, rewriting your story from the inside out, a story of grit, faith, perseverance, and refusing to settle. This is the real battle, and no one can fight it for you. It's you versus the habits, doubts, and limits you've outgrown, with God as your strength. Colossians chapter 3, verse 23 declares, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord." When you commit to this fight daily, the results speak louder than any excuse, any distraction, any old lie that said you weren't enough. You raise the bar not to impress anybody, but because your standards set by God have changed. You've changed. You shock folks not by beating them, but by surpassing the version of you they thought they knew. The transformation shows not because you begged for attention, but because it's undeniable, blessed by Him. So stop looking outside for confirmation. Stop chasing approval from folks who don't walk your path. The person in the mirror holds the real potential, the real power, the real reason to keep going, because God's working in them. Outwork that person every day, because every time you do, you win. Every time you rise above who you were, you reclaim power through His grace. Then there's pain, not something to dodge or hide from, but a signal, a message from God, calling you to grow, to pay attention, to change. Pain, when faced with faith, becomes your greatest teacher. The moment you invest in your mind, you're declaring that pain won't define you. You'll turn it into purpose through His strength. You stop seeing wounds as weaknesses and start seeing them as the birthplace of strength. Scars become symbols of survival and wisdom, proof of His healing. Your mind is your greatest asset, a gift from God, and it demands care. When life breaks your rhythm through loss, failure, heartbreak, your response, rooted in faith, becomes everything. You can let pain consume you, or you can use it to fuel a mission God's given you. Investing in your mental strength means choosing growth, not just when it's easy, but when it's necessary, when He's calling you to rise. It's the difference between staying broken and building something powerful from the pieces with His help. 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7 states, "For the Spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline." The real battles happen in your mind, where your future is decided, every thought, every belief, every perspective. If you don't take ownership, the world will fill it with noise. Negativity, doubt, and fear are loud, but they only have power if you let them in. When you choose to grow mentally, you take back control with God's guidance. You fill your mind with His truths, tools, and practices that lift you up, not drag you down. This don't happen in a day, it's daily choices, reading books that challenge you, surrounding yourself with folks who inspire growth, taking time for prayer, meditation, solitude. Even silence becomes powerful when it lets you hear God's voice. The pain you once ran from becomes fuel for resilience, creativity, and deeper awareness of His presence. Turning pain into purpose ain't about pretending everything's fine, it's facing the hard stuff head on and asking, what's God teaching me? How's this refining me? What strength can I gain? Shift your perspective, and your whole story changes. Pain ain't the end, it's the start of something meaningful with Him. The greatest folks in history didn't just survive pain, they turned it into fire, fueled by faith. They invested in their mindset until pain became a compass pointing to God's purpose, mission, calling. When the world went quiet, they kept going because their strength came from Him, not applause. That's the power of mental investment. It's not just what you think, but what you allow around you. The environment you create shapes your thoughts. Toxic influences, endless distractions, negative patterns, they'll anchor you to the past if you let them. But when you protect your mind with God's truth, you curate a space for transformation. You find better influences, build healthier routines, seek knowledge that expands you. You become the gatekeeper of your mental garden, pulling weeds like fear, doubt, bitterness, and planting seeds of hope, faith, vision, discipline. With time, that garden grows quietly, steadily, powerfully. That's how lasting change happens, from the inside out, with discipline, clarity, and God's purpose. Philippians chapter 4, verse 8 advises, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, think about such things. Every time you outwork your old self, every time you grow through pain with God's help, you rise. When you rise from quiet strength, the world don't just notice it, respects it. Because your growth wasn't handed to you. You built it with Him. Choosing to nurture your mind unlocks the power to turn pain into purpose. Your mind becomes a fortress, resilient, clear, grounded in what matters, anchored in His truth. The more you pour into this space, the less power pain has. It don't disappear, but it loses its grip. Transformation ain't comfortable. It demands honesty, vulnerability, courage to face shadows you'd rather avoid. But in that discomfort, with God's strength, change begins. Painful moments start looking different, not punishment, but teachers sent by Him. Every setback's a chance to pause, reflect, adjust. Building emotional intelligence means facing your emotions, understanding them, using them as fuel to move forward, not stay stuck. You stop reacting from pain and start responding with purpose. You gain clarity, control, and pain no longer writes your story, God's purpose does. This ain't just mental toughness, it's mastery built through daily, intentional, courageous effort with Him. When you find purpose in pain, it becomes meaningful. Without direction, pain feels like a burden, but with God's purpose, it sharpens you, carves away distractions, refines your values, pulls you toward what matters. The vision you build through this inner work becomes bigger than your pain. A reason to rise when everything feels heavy. A compass when life's unclear. Your mind becomes where endurance is built, where His direction is found. Investing in your thoughts, your mindset, your inner world is the most powerful choice you can make. Because your mind, guided by God, shapes your reality. The pain you once feared becomes the foundation for your greatest strength, pushing you to grow, evolve, build something unshakable with Him. Choosing to turn pain into purpose is a promise to yourself and to God, a commitment to no longer be a prisoner of past wounds, but to build a future where your pain fuels impact, where scars show resilience, not defeat. This is strength no hardship can break. Because when you feed your mind with His truth, focus, and energy, nothing can take it away. Pain becomes wisdom. Purpose becomes your path. Every step forward reflects the courage it took to keep going with Him. You stop surviving and start rising quietly, powerfully, fully in His light. Psalm chapter 30 verse 5 proclaims, weeping may stay for the night, but rejoicing comes in the morning. Alongside this inner work comes the truth that your energy is precious, a gift from God. Most folks give it away without thinking. But staying unavailable ain't about shutting people out, it's about protecting the peace He's given you. Choosing what deserves your attention. It's creating space for growth by refusing to let the world dictate how you feel or move. People will always want your time, your emotions, your energy, but not everybody deserves it. Protecting your energy means saying no more often, no to distractions, no to folks who only take, no to habits that drain you. It's valuing your well-being above temporary approval or keeping the peace. Staying unavailable is a quiet way of saying my purpose in God is serious. When you protect your energy, you're more present for what matters. Stopping the leak of power into gossip, drama, or problems that ain't yours. Boundaries become your defense, not walls to isolate, but filters to preserve your strength, blessed by Him. Every no to what don't serve His plan is a yes to your purpose. This ain't selfishness, it's being deliberate. Choosing who and what gets access to the life God's building in you. Your energy is sacred, and how you manage it shapes your days. Sometimes protecting it means stepping back from people you love, not easy but necessary when your peace is on the line. You're not cutting them off, you're choosing not to bleed for those who don't see your sacrifice. The more intentional you are, the more you see how powerful your energy is when guarded by His grace. You show up sharper, work deeper, grow faster, creating a life designed by His purpose, not distraction. Matthew chapter 5 verse 16 urges, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Not everyone's earned a front row seat in your life. Not everyone should have a say in your choices. Some relationships, no matter how long they've lasted or how familiar they feel, are quietly toxic, dimming the light God's placed in you, draining your energy, leaving you doubting your strength. Creating distance ain't resentment or revenge, is preservation, clarity, a deep understanding that your peace matters more than pleasing others. Staying unavailable to what harms you is self-respect, rooted in His love. When you guard your energy from chaos or takers, you make space to breathe, grow, heal. You rediscover the parts of you buried under the noise, the parts God's calling forth. The world don't benefit from your burnout or exhaustion. It needs your clarity, your power, your presence shining with His light. In this noisy world, social media, notifications, constant chatter, staying unavailable means pausing to remember who you are in Him. You unplug, even for a moment, to reconnect with what matters. You create quiet, intentional space to reset, reflect, hear your own thoughts through His voice. In that stillness, your vision sharpens, priorities realign, and you see what deserves your time and what's been stealing it. Choosing unavailability is disciplined strength, knowing your energy ain't unlimited, and where you spend it shapes your life's direction. It takes courage to say no to what pulls you from God's purpose and yes to what brings you back to His center. The reward? A mind that focuses, a heart that stays calm, a spirit unshaken by chaos, all because of Him. That's the power of protecting your energy. It's being wise about where you invest your emotions. Not every battle needs fighting. Not every insult needs a reply. Not every situation deserves your time. Silence is strength. Distance is protection. Your peace is enough. As you protect your energy, you attract better clarity, alignment, people who lift you up. Your presence carries weight, rooted in quiet strength, not reaction. People respect it, feel it, and that fuels your momentum in ways noise never could. Staying unavailable ain't cutting the world off, it's knowing when to close the door to recharge, to ensure you pour into God's purpose from a full cup. You stop running on fumes and move with intention, stronger, clearer, more grounded in every choice, led by His hand. Luke chapter 10, verse 27 commands, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind." The strength from protecting your energy ain't loud, but it's lasting, a shield against distraction, a compass keeping you aligned with Him. This ain't isolation, it's elevation, living deliberately, not reactively, choosing your future over your past. The freedom from this practice changes everything. You own your time, emotions, focus, refusing to compromise your peace just to keep others comfortable. Your energy is as valuable as your vision, and when you protect both, your life shifts. Your presence becomes a statement of worth, strength, purpose. Protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. In that protection lies your peace, power, and potential. Stay unavailable when needed, not out of avoidance, but to show up fully when it matters, as God intended. What's your name, my friend? Where are you right now, carrying a burden, fighting a battle, chasing a dream? God's speaking to you, saying, "My child, your energy is sacred, a gift I've given to fulfill my purpose in you." It's the foundation for every dream you chase, every relationship you build, every piece of peace you protect. Staying unavailable at times ain't about walls, it's about guarding the fuel that keeps you grounded in me. Your mental, emotional, spiritual strength ain't unlimited, and it was never meant to be spent on what weakens you. When you guard your energy with intention, you create space for growth that glorifies me. You filter out noise and focus on what feeds your soul. Voices that distracted or drained you lose power. You reclaim attention, clarity, strength, walking in my truth. You don't react to everything, you choose what's worth your time, who's worth your energy. This is self-respect, not just talk, but action, showing the world you value the life I've given you. Your boundaries declare your peace ain't up for negotiation. You felt the exhaustion of pouring into conflict, overextending, pleasing everyone. But the shift begins when you say no to confusion, no to what drains, yes to what lifts you closer to me. It takes strength to set boundaries, especially with those you love. But protecting your energy ain't shutting folks out, it's honoring the well-being I've called you to. It's stepping back, not from anger, but from clarity. Knowing your peace is priceless, your growth deserves protection. When you choose this path, you build something unbreakable, a quiet strength no chaos can shake. In a world demanding more attention, reaction, emotion, your ability to stay unavailable is a rebellion rooted in my peace. In silence, solitude, reflection, you hear my voice again. That's where vision forms, focus sharpens, your next step becomes clear. This is disciplined presence, living with intention. You master your energy, saving it for what matters. You stop scattering power and direct it with precision. Everything you touch rises, your work improves, decisions sharpen, relationships grow stronger, all because you're walking in my purpose. Protecting your energy is wisdom, ensuring you thrive. Not just survive, you show up whole, not broken by burnout or guilt. When you honor your energy, you elevate your life, surrounding yourself with what fuels you. People notice, opportunities align, and you move with a presence that commands respect, not because you seek it, but because you carry my light. This is the life I've called you to, a life of clarity, strength, focus that don't waver. Hold fast to it. Practice it. Stay unavailable when needed. Say yes only when it aligns with my will. Guard your peace like it's gold, and watch your world transform. Your energy is your life force. Protect it, respect it. Let it guide you to all I've created you to be. Psalm chapter 23 verse 1 declares, "The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing." Thank you for choosing this path of self-worth, growth, intention, and faith. Drop amen. In the comments, declare God's truth over your life, claiming his victory for your journey. Share this message with someone who needs to hear it, someone fighting their own battles, needing his strength. Subscribe, hit that like button. Let's build a community rooted in his purpose. May you always guard your peace, protect your light, and walk forward with the quiet power of someone who knows exactly who they are in him. May his blessings overflow in every step you take.